What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another exciting episode of
Forever News.
Hit that subscribe button and that bell to get all notifications. I got you covered. And in this episode, we got quite a bit of things to talk about, from Elon Musk and the whole Twitter scandal, a big Naruto spinoff coming to an end, some really high-priced Yu-Gi-Oh stuff that's happening that you're gonna be like, huh? We got something in the housing market that I did want to talk about regarding something that Biden recently signed off on that is like, yo, what's happening here? And a whole bunch of other stories. So yeah, stay tuned, hop in, and let's talk some news.
I must go. It's time to get out.
Because first up, we have the story regarding a Naruto spinoff. You probably heard of it by now. You probably read it or watched it. I hope it's Sasuke, the Uchiha and the Heavenly Stardust, the Sasuke story novel that was recently adapted into a manga. Well, it's apparently coming to an end, which is kind of crazy because didn't they do the Sasuke anime adaptation into the Boruto anime like already a few months back, and it kind of passed the manga. However, from everything I've heard, the manga ending is so much better than the anime's ending, because while the anime was decent and it was enjoyable, the ending of the arc was kind of a little bit like Naruto Sasuke story, the Uchiha and the Heavenly Stardust, has ended today with chapter 10 at Shonen Jump Plus's app, aka that was, I believe, April 23rd. Final volume 2 of the series will be out on June 2nd, 2023, and I have no doubt in my mind that this did well enough for them to adapt other novels of the series into manga format, because yeah, this was so big that they rushed it into, hey, how about we make a Boruto anime adaptation of the Sasuke story, because yeah, it was pretty freaking popular at the very least over here in the West, and at the same time, it'll also get people that are Naruto fans but really weren't that into Boruto back into the franchise again and thinking about this series. So I have no doubt in my mind, probably the next one they'll do is Naruto Retsuden or any of the other ones. I don't know about the Konoha story because that one recently ended as well, or is coming to an end. Probably they'll stick more to these type of stories because fans seem to love them. Moving forward, fans of Yu-Gi-Oh! If you are a big Yu-Gi-Oh fan such as myself, then you know that sometimes these cards, especially nowadays, the rarity can go up in price. However, this was very unforeseen, and I was kind of like, huh? Because a Yu-Gi-Oh card, a one of a kind, went for 100 grand on a bid on eBay. One of a kind Yu-Gi-Oh card received $100,000 bid in first hour of eBay auction. The rarest Yu-Gi-Oh card in existence, Tyler the Great Warrior, which was only ever produced once, surpassed $150,000 in bids as of Thursday. The card first went on auction on eBay on Wednesday. YouTube documentary maker Alex Simo, who interviewed the card's owner Tyler Gristle, told Anime News Network that the card received a $100,000 bid within the first hour. The Make-A-Wish Foundation granted Gressle's wish of creating his own Yu-Gi-Oh card in 2005, and Gressel has kept the card in storage ever since. In 2001, Tyler Gressel was diagnosed with an undifferentiated sarcoma of the liver, an extremely rare form of cancer. At the time, there was only 200 known cases in the United States. Through his wish, he was given the opportunity to select the art and name of a forthcoming Yu-Gi-Oh card. For the Tyler the Great Warrior card, manga creator Kazuki Takahashi drew 2 sketches of a design based on Future Trunks, a character from Dragon Ball. Takahashi also personally signed the card. Gressel remarked that his wish gave him the opportunity to express his appreciation for 2 of his biggest interests at the time, Dragon Ball and Yu-Gi-Oh, which I ain't gonna lie, every time I look at the art, I keep thinking like, is that Gogeta? What is that? So the fact that that's based on Dragon Ball, that is fire. And yeah, the whole situation in general, Make-A-Wish allowing this kid that was, you know, having this very difficult time to be able to produce something like that, just, it's a big win all around, and I hope that that money goes to his family and they're able to, you know, do what needs to be done with it. Then a story that just hopped into my lap about 2 seconds ago regarding Static Shock, aka Static, the big comic book from Milestone Comics and cartoon from, I believe it was the Kids WB era back in the day, and then it hopped over to Cartoon Network. Apparently, James Gunn recently responded to a fan saying they do have plans for Static and any of the other Milestone characters, which if we was to get a Static live action and it was done properly, this would open up a floodgate of new Milestone comic book to live action adaptations, because I ain't gonna lie, Milestone has been so slept on for so many freaking years, but especially Static Shock, like, it still boggles my mind that not more was done with Static ever since the end of its animated series. Like, Static Shock's ratings was so freaking crazy back in the day. From what I was told, it was doing numbers like Dragon Ball Z in its heyday, and that's something unheard of. It was one of the biggest shows that, especially when it hit reruns, was just dominating, and they they never really did anything with it. Like, we've got a couple of remakes and the Static comic right now, so that's been a very big deal for Static fans. But in terms of the movies and whatnot, James Gunn bringing forth a Static Shock live action would be major and something that desperately needs to be done, because Static was and is massively popular. People love Static. It's just very underserved to people. There's not a lot of Static to even consume, so Static to consume. There's not a lot of Static Shock out there on the market other than the old animated series and the current comic book that is running. I would love a Static Shock movie. I'm just saying, like, James Gunn, hear me out. Make it happen. Next up, a little bit of drama on the Pokemon Go side of things. Apparently, one of the people behind one of the social media accounts for Pokemon Go recently got in trouble for tweeting out something that offended some people regarding going outside. It says here, Pokemon Go deletes tweet seemingly mocking fans over remote raid challenges. It's been a contentious few weeks between fans of Pokemon Go and developer Niantic. The company recently made massive changes to the game's remote raids and is well aware that players are unhappy about it. On April 20th, the game's official Twitter account posted a now deleted tweet in which it claimed that reviews for Going Outside are 95% fresh with an audience score of 100%. The tweet also contained the hashtag #GetOutside. Naturally, fans expressed a lot of frustration with the developer, particularly since Niantic has been carefully avoiding the remote raid issue. And yeah, the tweet said the reviews for Going Outside are in 95% fresh, 100% with the, I guess it'd be the reader score, the popcorn, and hashtag Get Outside. And I'm gonna be honest with you, yeah, I don't know the full circumstances of exactly what was the changes to these remote raids or whatnot, but I always encourage for people to get outside, get some vitamin D, get some sunlight, and I don't know what changes were made. Maybe people can't comfortably do certain things with their Pokemon Go as they were able to do prior to this change, but I don't see a big deal. I mean, I get maybe if it's mocking fans to a certain degree that were like, we don't want to go outside, but even then, go outside. And by no means am I trying to diss people that like to be in the house, because yeah, sometimes I like to be in the house very often, but at the end of the day, I don't see a big deal if this game is going to help people to get a little bit more physically active and just in general have some fun out in the world. Next up, we have an update on a very tragic situation that happened roughly 4 years ago now regarding the Kyoto animation fires. Apparently, the pre-trial is beginning for the person that allegedly committed the arson. Kyoto animation arsonist case begins pre-trial proceedings on May 8th. And HK reported on Friday that the Kyoto District Court will start pre-trial proceedings for the arson murder case that killed 36 people and wounded 33 others at the Kyoto animation on May 8th. The three parties of the court, prosecution and defense, are planning for the main trial to take place between early September and late December. The parties will decide on the specific schedule and the number of days required for the trial at the pre-trial proceedings. The pre-trial proceedings will also discuss prior issues and evidence. And of course, in case you don't know, it was July 18, 2019 that a devastating fire broke out at Kyoto Animation Studios 1 building. A total of 70 people were inside the building at the time. In addition to the victims inside the building, a man in his 40s on his way to work in the area suffered minor injuries from smoke inhalation. Kyoto Prefecture police apprehended the then 41-year-old suspect who allegedly used gasoline to start the fire. The man allegedly bought 40 liters of gasoline in 2 canisters and used a cart to transport the gasoline to Kyoto Animation Studio 1 building. Japanese prosecutors formally indicted the suspect December 2020. I hope that the people, the families that were affected by this, do get closure by whatever happens with this case with the arsonist, because it was allegedly over something to do with him feeling that they ripped off his work or stole one of his works. And regardless of what, that's never a reason to just start burning down a whole freaking building full of innocent people because, hey, they might have copied me. Rest in peace to everybody that was lost in those fires. Sad stuff. Then something that kind of got me a bit upset is, if you don't know, you should know that your credit score is extremely important, especially if you're trying to be a homeowner. Being a homeowner becomes a little bit easier the higher your credit score is, and people such as myself really bust their butt to try and make sure that their credit score is, you know, neatly intact. So much so that sometimes when you mess up your credit score, you work very hard to get it back up, because the higher your credit score, the more lenders are willing to help you out in order to get things, not only even homes, like just in general, to get loans for whatever you're trying to do. So high credit score, good thing. Low credit score, bad thing. However, recently President Biden's administration announced a plan that would essentially punish people the higher their credit score and reward people the lower their credit score on some super idiocracy type of thing. Let's just quickly read this. The Biden administration plans to raise payments for good credit home buyers. If you have a credit score of 740 plus, you will pay an extra 1% on your mortgage. However, those with 620 or less will get a 1.75 decrease. And I see one positive thing of like, sure, maybe the unfortunate that other circumstances, messed up their credit score. A lot of people, even, people that I've known, like you're earlier in life, because you get credit at 18, you can really start working on your credit or whatnot. A lot of people, they mess up their credit in their earlier years, and then they unfortunately got to rebuild back up in their later years to get it back to where it needs to be. And it's a long struggle. So I get in the aspect of like, hey, it'll be easier for people with a less credit score. But even then, a 620, you're not really going to get that good of a deal anyways on a home loan. And just in general, I think it's really lame that for the people that have busted their hump trying to get their credit score where it needs to be, that instead of being rewarded for being very hard and on top of things, now you're going to be persecuted. And no, now you got to pay more. I believe it amounts to about $40 more a month on your mortgage that you're going to have to pay. And I think that this is a horrible thing, especially considering the fact that what about the people that have worked extremely hard to get their credit score up there? What about them? Okay, you're rewarding the people that are less fortunate. I think that that's a dope thing, but why are you going to be punishing the people that have worked very hard? It's like opposite. It's almost as if, yeah, man, let me miss a payment so that way, like, it just doesn't make sense. And I'm like, what are they doing? Honestly, I think that this is a bit silly and ridiculous. And lastly, I wanted to talk about how Twitter seemingly has been melting down recently. In case you haven't been following the whole debacle, recently Elon Musk had announced that if you wanted to keep your blue check mark on Twitter, you had to pay for it, regardless if you was legacy or not, regardless if you had quote unquote earned it in the past, you had to pay. And initially it was $8. I tried to go recently and look up how much it cost, because a lot of people were saying otherwise, and it said it was $11 to get it. But it gets even stranger, because a lot of celebrities and people with massive influence that had over 1 million followers, after losing their checkmark a few days back, recently had it returned to them, and they were like, what's going on? And initially Elon Musk had said that he had paid for a couple of the celebrities blue checkmarks, such as LeBron James, Stephen King, and it was met with a lot of people saying, holy crap, that's not fair. Then following that, Elon Musk had rewarded pretty much everybody with 1 million followers or more their blue check marks back. And honestly, when it comes to the whole check mark situation, I think it's a slippery slope. First of all, this is clearly Elon Musk trying to figure out how to monetize Twitter in a way that Twitter was never really monetizable. Like, from my understanding, Twitter was never really a profitable company, despite whatever advertisements and things that they had on the back end. It still wasn't ever profitable. It was just kind of like a town square, as Elon Musk put it, that didn't make any money for the town. Honestly, it sounded like a bad investment from the beginning. So when Elon Musk took it over, he's definitely had his work cut out to, okay, well, how do I make this thing a thing? How do I get money to come back into this? And coming up with the whole blue checkmark thing maybe might have not been the best type of situation at, tackling the financial aspects of it, because a lot of celebrities shortly after Elon had announced that you're gonna have to pay for your blue check mark had denounced it, and pretty much has become more of a common pattern to like giggle about people that pay for the blue check mark. Now, I'll be honest with you, I am not paying for the blue check mark. At one point I did for a short period of time, and then I thought to myself, wait a minute, my Twitter account is not in good standing because of previous engagements that I had done on the platform several years back. My account ain't in good standing, so it really serves no purpose for me to have the blue check mark, when the main reason I was using it was in order to get better search results, for people to find my tweets more, to kind of give it a little bit of a boost. So that's one of the main reasons why I don't pay for it, but I'm not necessarily against it. Because then there was a viral tweet by Ian Schwartzman, in case you don't know who that is, very popular manager. He manages Joe Budden, the #1 music podcaster in the world, and he had a tweet that said people will pay $8 for a coffee every morning to have their name on it, $10 a month for a streaming service to watch repeats of an old show and $50 on weed, but won't pay for verification of their own identity on Twitter without acting like it's costing them their life. And a lot of people were really upset about this tweet. And to be honest with you, I honestly feel like there's some validity to it. For starters, for a period of time, for many years actually, I was paying anywhere from $4 to $6 a day on a coffee, sometimes 12 a day if I wanted 2 cups of coffee. So right there, I kind of understand that. Likewise with the whole paying for a streaming service. If you pay for a streaming service and you're not really utilizing it, you're paying for a streaming service for damn near nothing. But at the same time, if it's a business investment, if you are a content creator, if you have a business, if you're a comic book maker, whatever it may be, it does add a little bit more validity to your whole situation of what you're trying to build if you are having that verification mark, and the rules have changed to where you gotta pay for it now. So I'm understanding clearly of what he's trying to say, but a lot of people didn't take too kindly to it, and I guess it's a slippery slope right now where we're at with it when it comes to the whole blue checkmark situation. And I want to pass that question off to you watching right now. Are you yay or nay when it comes to paying for the verification? Again, it started off as $8. When I last checked, it was at $11. And if Elon Musk ever saw this and decided, yo, I'm going to clear all the violations off your account so that way you're fresh and, able to do what you do, I might consider getting the verification mark. Why not? But that's where we're at with the stories. I'm ForneverWorld, and as always, people, have an awesome day. Subscribe and hit that bell to get more. Yeah.